The courtroom doors creaked open as the morning light spilled through the windows of Jefferson County Courthouse, casting long, solemn shadows across the marble floor. A boy or so he appeared stepped in alone. He looked too young to be wearing shackles, too calm to be facing the kind of charges that sent grown men into cold sweats. But here he was, wrists bound in steel, eyes steady, back straight. 18-year-old Malik Henderson, charged with fraud, impersonating an attorney, and obstruction of justice. To the judge presiding over Department 4A, the whole thing reeked of audacity. Judge Marlene Whitcomb had seen her fair share of foolishness from young black defendants. But this, a teenager masquerading as a licensed attorney, representing clients in actual court proceedings? She didn't know whether to laugh or throw the book at him, and judging by the smirk curling on her lips, laughter was winning. The bailiff called court to order, and the shuffle of feet, murmurs of observers, and rustling of paper gave way to silence. Everyone turned to stare at Malik, expecting some scared little kid who got caught playing dress-up with the law. What they didn't expect was the way he held himself. Chin high, eyes unwavering. It wasn't arrogance. It was purpose. The prosecutor, a smug Ivy League alum named Blake Halverson, took the floor with the confidence of a man who had already written tomorrow's headline, "Teen Legal Imposter Brought to Justice." He was polished, perfectly pressed, and insufferably proud. "Your Honor," he began, "the facts in this case are astonishing. The defendant, Mr. Malik Henderson, fraudulently presented himself as a licensed attorney. He filed motions, appeared in court, and even defended a tenant in housing court. All while being a high school student, he let the disbelief hang in the air like a gavel already dropped. This isn't just deception. It's a calculated attempt to undermine the integrity of our legal system." Judge Whitcomb raised an eyebrow and turned to Malik. "Is this true, Mr. Henderson? You really represented someone in court?" Malik didn't flinch. "Yes, Your Honor, and you're not a licensed attorney." "No." "Ma'am," gasps rippled through the gallery. The judge's eyebrow climbed higher. "So you admit it." "I admit what I did, but not why you think I did it." The courtroom grew still. Halverson leaned forward. "Oh, I'd love to hear this justification. Please enlighten us." Malik nodded. "Then I will, but I'll be representing myself." Laughter erupted. Judge Whitcomb blinked. "Excuse me? I'll represent myself," Malik repeated, voice steady, controlled. "Since I'm accused of acting like a lawyer, it seems fitting I be allowed to defend myself like one." The judge stared at him, then slowly leaned back in her chair, arms folded. "Fine, you want to play lawyer, go ahead. Let's see what you've got." Halverson smirked, stepping back like a man watching a child walk into traffic. Malik took a step toward the center of the room. He didn't shuffle or stumble. Every movement had intention. "Your Honor, the prosecution wants you to believe this is a case about arrogance, about a young black man who thought he could outsmart the system. But the truth is, this case is about desperation and injustice." He turned to face the jury. "You see, it started in the Eastwood housing projects. My neighbor, Miss Geraldine Mathers, 72 years old, widow retired nurse, got an eviction notice. Said she was behind on rent, except she wasn't. The management company had, accidentally, lost her payment record, twice. No lawyer would take her case. Not for what she could afford. Legal aid had a 6-week wait list. So I read the housing code, wrote a motion, and filed it. Because no one else would," Halverson interrupted. "He represented her without a license." Malik nodded. "Yes, I did. And thanks to that fraudulent representation, Miss Mathers still has a roof over her head." He turned back to the judge. "Was it legal?" "No, but was it just?" "Absolutely." Whitcomb shifted in her chair, watching him now not as a judge watching a fool, but as a woman trying to figure out what, exactly, she was looking at. "You still broke the law," she said slowly. "And I'm willing to be held accountable," Malik replied. "But I'd also like the court to acknowledge why. I did what I did and who I did it for." Halverson scoffed. "Oh, please. This isn't to kill a mockingbird. No, it's not," Malik shot back. "Because if it were, people like Miss Mathers would actually have someone show up for them. But they don't, so sometimes we have to show up for each other." He let the words sink in before continuing. "And while we're talking about the law, let's talk about precedent. Because what I did, unethical or not, has been done before. Halverson frowned. What are you talking about? Malik reached into the evidence box and pulled out a photocopied newspaper article. In 1993, a white man named Brian McCoy represented clients in 4 separate civil cases in Chicago without ever going to law school. When he was caught, he got probation. He set down a second article. In 2007, another man, Charles Nelson, pretended to be a licensed attorney for 3 years. He was caught, convicted, and sentenced to 6 months in county jail, suspended. Then he placed a final article on the stand. And in 2014, a woman named Ashley Carmichael filed legal paperwork under a fake bar number. Her case? Dismissed due to lack of intent. He turned to Halverson. And yet here I am, an 18-year-old black kid, and you're calling for the maximum penalty. Halverson shifted. You're cherry-picking examples. No, Malik said. I'm showing a pattern that shows how this system treats intent when it's packaged in a different skin. The jury was silent now, the gallery still. Even Whitcomb leaned in slightly, her gavel untouched. Malik wasn't done. And for the record, I didn't impersonate anyone. I didn't use a false bar number. I didn't sign anyone's name but my own. Everything I submitted as me, because I wasn't trying to scam the system. I was trying to survive it and help others do the same. He walked slowly back to the defense table. I didn't hack the legal system. I studied it. I respected it. I lived it every day. From the outside looking in. Whitcomb's voice was quieter now. You want to be a lawyer? I already am, Malik said softly. Just not on paper. Not yet. Silence. Then from the gallery a voice called out. He helped my son beat a bogus truancy charge. Another. He wrote my appeal letter for disability benefits and I won. And another. He saved my daughter from juvenile detention. The judge looked around, eyes narrowing. Who are these people? Clients, Malik said simply. Whitcomb looked at Halverson. Do we have any evidence that Mr. Henderson profited from his actions? No, Your Honor, Halverson said, jaw tight. Any harm done to the individuals he represented? No. Whitcomb leaned back, her expression unreadable. This is highly irregular and illegal, but also... She paused, searching for the right words. Uncomfortably understandable. She looked at Malik. You know, I've had real lawyers in here who couldn't make the kind of arguments you just did. I've had real life to teach me, Malik replied. There was no gavel slam, no dramatic verdict. Just a heavy, thoughtful silence as Whitcomb stared at him like she was trying to reconcile the courtroom. Rules with the human being standing in front of her. She finally spoke. Mr. Henderson, I'm dismissing the impersonation and fraud charges. You'll perform 200 hours of community service, under supervision from the Public Defender's Office, and you will enroll in a pre-law mentorship program through the Bar Association. Halverson looked like he'd swallowed his tongue. The gallery erupted not in cheers, but in a low wave of stunned murmurs and cautious relief. Whitcomb continued, more softly now. I can't condone what you did, but I also can't ignore what it revealed. She paused, then added, almost reluctantly, you have potential. Mr. Henderson, don't waste it. Malik didn't smile. He didn't pump his fist or bask in applause. He just nodded once. Thank you, Your Honor. He walked out of the courtroom the same way he came in alone, but this time the weight on his shoulders was a little lighter. Not because the battle was over, but because someone had finally seen him not as a criminal, but as a possibility. Outside, the reporters swarmed like bees. Malik, how did you learn so much law? Did you expect the judge to dismiss the charges? Are you going to law school now? He ignored them all. On the courthouse steps, his older sister Layla waited. Arms crossed, eyebrows raised. You're lucky you didn't get thrown under the jail. He gave her a half smile. I had a good lawyer. She rolled her eyes but hugged him anyway. You're insane, you know that? Maybe, he said. But I'm not wrong. She pulled back and looked at him hard. So what now? He looked out across the city skyline. Now I'd do it for real. No shortcuts, no loopholes. Law school, bar exam. The whole thing. Layla stared at him a beat longer, then nodded. Good, because people like us? We don't get to fake it. No, Malik said. We don't. But we get to fight for it. Here's the truth. Malik's story isn't just about a courtroom, victory, or a clever defense. It's about the cracks in a system that let some people fall through, and the fire it takes to climb back up. It's about the brilliance that exists in places society refuses to look. And it's a reminder that genius doesn't always come with a diploma. Sometimes it walks in wearing handcuffs. And if this story made you feel something, if it made you pause, then share it. Because the law may be written in books, but justice? Justice lives in the choices we make. Let's make better ones. Subscribe for more stories that matter. Because next time, it might not be Malik. It might be someone you love.